What's poppin', y'all? I'm here to talk about the buffs and changes I've made for Whimsicott. Super awesome and fun. Before I get into explaining my thought process, although I feel like all three of the abilities are pretty obvious in terms of flavor, before I get into explaining all the awesome new move changes and the way that these, stat tweaks, ability changes, and most importantly, the move changes, how all of those function in the actual hack itself. I want to have a quick disclaimer for new viewers. Shout out to y'all. Also, shout out to all my returning viewers. I appreciate you guys coming back. But for my new viewers, I recommend y'all pause the video and then read the description down below. I've got a bullet point list explaining all of the important, key factors about the ROM hack that'll answer a lot of your questions that you might have. And then when you're done with that, when you're done with this video, actually, you can check out the move guide link down below on the Google Sheet. It's super important because the moves are very important to how the game functions now. So scroll through this, give this a read. I'd say it's very important. Yeah, so Whimsicott really dope. So in Sweltering Sun, they're actually a grass flying type because I wanted them to be more different from Lilligant, and then which is now a grass fairy, and you could check out that video if you're curious about that. But I opted to keep them as grass fairy in this because I was looking at the list of grass flyings and grass fairies and stuff, and honestly, I really like the way that these three abilities come together with the grass fairy, and I couldn't give them Wind Rider if they were grass flying. Um, because Jump Bluff will have that, and then Jump Bluff will also have Fluffy. So that's two abilities right that two abilities right there that they would share. Excuse me. So I like the idea of Whimsicott staying a grass fairy, and of course Fluffy is incredibly tanky. 65, 85, 110 bulk with Fluffy. I mean, this thing is very fat. Obviously, it only works for contact moves, not for all physical moves, but it's still an awesome ability. And then yeah, they have a 4 times fucking fire weakness. Who cares if you there's so many things wrong with fixating on that, but anyway, I'm arguing with myself again. Yeah, you don't have to really worry about that, is my point. There's ways to play around it, but Wind Rider is buffed, Omega buffed, so they're basically so Wind Rider basically gives you an immunity to special flying moves, and then it also gives you an immunity to, here, I'll even bold this, every special flying move in the game, as well as a bunch of others. So as a Grass Fury, you're immune to Heat Wave, Blizzard, Absolute Zero, and then every special flying move in the game. The rest of them aren't that relevant because the AI will hardly ever. I mean, for early game they're relevant, like Cottony being immune to all of these moves on the top is really good, like Gust and Frost Flurry especially, even Pixie Dust and Leaf Flurry. But as the early game passes, the AI will not be using those moves because they don't know how to abuse priority properly. If they do, it's going to be like a full set. So point is very unlikely to show up on the AI. But, all the special flying moves, Air Slash, Hurricane, Aeroblast, those will be common, relatively speaking, on the AI. Heat Wave will be relatively common, stuff like that. So you're immune to that, which is awesome. You can switch to Wind Rider whenever you need it for that immunity. It's very good. And then you have your main two abilities, which are Fluffy and Prankster, which you're using when you don't need that immunity to win with Wind Rider. But again, immunity is awesome, right? I mean, grass type that is immune to special flying moves is awesome. It's kind of funny because then Fluffy also allows you to take most physical flying moves a lot better. Actually, pretty much. Are there any physical flying moves that aren't contact? I'm pretty sure there are none. I'm pretty sure every physical flying move is contact, just for by nature of what it is, right? Yeah, there's no projectile physical. There's no projectile flying physical move that makes no sense. So yeah. Pretty dope though. I like Fluffy a lot on them. Very fat. And then you have Prankster for great utility. Prankster Encore is always going to be good, although keep in mind that Encore is nerfed to 1 PP, but that's just for obvious balancing reasons because it's such a broken move in an in-game context. But it's still a crazy move, regardless, even if it is only 1 PP. Tickle and Fake Tears early on. Tickle is great debuffing. Fake Tears 2. You've got your Prankster Charm, which is awesome for early on as well, and just in general, but you do get a strict upgrade to Prankster Charm in the mid-late game, which is Cotton Spore. Cotton Spore is an exclusive move that drops attack, special attack, and speed by -2. Super great debuffing option, very potent. It drops, it can, not only is it a priority move that drops both offensive stats by -2, it's also dropping speed. So that's awesome. You also, I already covered Tickle. What else is there? Strength Sap, that's another great Prankster option. Taunt. Tailwind is obviously decent with eject button, like Prankster Tailwind eject button. You get hit, you take the hit, you switch into your teammate, and now you have 3 turns of Tailwind to abuse with whatever you switched in with the eject button. So Prankster Tailwind is good in that regard for an in-game context. Obviously, it's not doubles fucking VGC, but it's still good. Prankster Screens is always going to be useful. In general, Move Relearner makes this thing really versatile because you can switch between healing moves and utility moves, and even some offensive stuff because their special attack stat, while not incredible, is definitely solid, 92. Good even, a good special attack stat. And they do have high base power moves, especially late game, stuff like Leaf Storm and, you know, so flying, fairy stab wise, I only gave them Moonblast as their strongest stab. I don't really see Eternal Beam on them or Radiant Outburst. I don't like the flavor of that very much on them, so I opted to just keep it for that 95 power Moonblast, which is still great. Especially because they are more of like a utility defensive oriented mon. But of course they have high base power grass moves like Leaf Storm and Seed Flare and other, you know, general grass type moves that most grass types get now. Also Prankster Sleep Powder, that's awesome. Keep in mind that you have to run a wide lens, but with the buffed wide lens, Sleep Powder won't miss anymore, and that's a guaranteed 2 turns of sleep as well. So you can Prankster Sleep Powder and then, you know, pivot move out or whatever, and then you can kind of go from there. And in general, that's just really good, right? Sleep Powder, Strength Sap, Cotton Spore, even stuff like Leech Seed, Encore, that's like the main gist of it. And you have other cool stuff like that, Taunt, Tailwinds. Taunt in general, Taunt is great, right? With Movie Learner, Prankster Taunt, super useful. Because in Sweltering you don't really have as much flexibility on your move slots, but you have very little, if anything. But now you have perfect flexibility, so you can teach it whenever you need it. What else is there? Honestly, it's low-key it. Prankster Cotton Guard is obviously good. And again, you're only switching to Wind Rider when you need that immunity. Otherwise, you're running Fluffy or Prankster, right? You're running Fluffy for defensive utility or Prankster for, like, you know, just utility in general. And you can still abuse all those Prankster moves with Fluffy sets, you just aren't as fast, because while you do look like a very fast Pokemon on paper, 116 base, you're not guaranteed a plus speed nature, and you're only getting 20 speed IVs, so you're actually not that fast at all. You're only hitting base 95, yeah, you're only outspeeding base 95 and below Pokemon with your Whimsicott if you got a neutral speed nature, so that is definitely something to keep in mind there. Offensively, like I said, they can be decent. Like I mean, it's solid. It can do the job, right? If you like have, you know, you can use it to kill things. Of course, it's just that's not its main job, but it can definitely do it still. Offensively, you could also do some like nasty plot shit if you really wanted to go that route. Late game, Calm Mind's good too, but yeah, I mean, setup is not the most fun in my opinion. I would say, just the really cool utility options they get, and even just Cottony. Right? Cottony's so bulky, man. Early game, 45, 60, 95 with Fluffy. I mean, I really like. I don't know how to put it in perspective without literally just doing the math out, and I don't really feel like that right now, but just trust me, 65, 85, 110 bulk with Fluffy, very good. I like the special defense being their highest stat besides speed as well, because, I mean, obviously physical defense is massive because of Fluffy, but at least for contact moves, but special moves, I think are cool to, like, for them not take a lot. I think just like the whole cotton puffy thing, like I think in the fairy grass, like grass fairy in general can be associated with like special defense, and I think the design also fits like being just a mixed bulk, like fast support oriented Pokemon with like decent offensive capabilities, right? So yeah, that's basically it, to be honest. To recap, Prankster Sleep Powder, Prankster Encore, obviously also like tons of heal moves too, right? Like Fluffy Draining Kiss, Fluffy Mega Drain. Mega Drain is essentially grass type Draining Kiss, but even stronger. Those are both fucking awesome, right? You can just 1v1 all sorts of things with those two moves. Leech Seed Fluffy, I mean, really, you've got so much good shit on this guy. So yeah, would be super fun to use. Leave a comment down below if you like it, or, you know, let me know what you think. And I'll be back for more videos coming up, y'all. Peace.